Hello there, everybody. I sure hope you're doing okay. I would like to speak to those out there who may feel that you are unimportant, that you're insignificant, that your voice does not matter. I'd like to share a brief story with you from the Bible. 2 Kings chapter 5 tells us about this army commander. His name was Naaman, and he was the commander of the Aram army. Problem was, as successful as he had leprosy. Now, one of his raiding parties had captured a young girl. In fact, she was probably an adolescent. It says she was of the marrying age, so she could be 14 to 18. She was a young girl, and this girl had been captured. In fact, this young girl wound up being the slave girl to Naaman's wife. She was called a servant, not a slave, but she was taken prisoner during war. That makes her a slave. Anyway, this young girl doesn't have a name. Not a name. We just have this picture of this no name who becomes servant of Naaman's wife. Now, of course, Naaman and his wife have communication. We don't have a time lapse of anything that happens here as far as how long it took. But the next thing in the story we're told is that the girl goes to her mistress and says, you know what? If my master would only go and see the prophet in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy. So here this young girl tells her mistress, I know how your husband can get cured. Now, the next thing we know, the next verse says that Naaman goes to his king and says, I'd like to take a leave, and could I have letters? I want to go to Samaria. I want to see if this guy really can heal me. All because of what this young girl, nameless, insignificant servant girl, told her mistress. So we see Naaman traveling to Samaria. And he goes to the king and he hands the king the letter from his king, and the Sumerian king is fit to be tied. He says, am I God? Can I heal? And he actually thought it was a big old trick to try and conquer him. Elijah heard that the king gave a big old fit, and Elisha told the king, send Naaman to me. So Naaman gets sent to Elisha. And as you may have guessed, Elisha, the prophet of God, actually heals Naaman of his leprosy. The story goes on as far as how it's done. That's not what's important as far as what I want to share with you today. The story that I want to share with you today is about this girl, this nameless, faceless, insignificant, unimportant girl. And I'd like to share 4 takeaways with you, because this is for you. Number 1, share what you know. You see, the girl's past gave her knowledge of things, of experiences. It was her past that she drew upon to know about Elisha being able to heal. You and I have pasts. We all have past experiences. There are good experiences and there are bad experiences. But those experiences are for us to draw on. The girl's past knowledge about God, about Jehovah, and who Jehovah used to heal was what she shared. All she could share was what she knew. So what she knew, she shared. Point number 1. Share what you know. What is it that you know? Because your past is meant to be shared. Number 2, takeaway. Circumstances don't stop you sharing. They don't. She was a captive. This young girl was a captive. She was a prisoner, in fact. She was oppressed. Who knows, she had maybe even been abused by the raiding parties. And here she was, not dependent on her circumstances. She served and she shared with her enemy what she knew. And that was what was needed. She didn't have bitterness. She didn't have anger. She didn't have hostility. In spite of her circumstances, and even because of her circumstances, she was able to share from her past to meet the need in Naaman's life. Number 3 takeaway. Position or status doesn't qualify you to share. Both the kings in this story, both of them, had no idea where to get Naaman his help. They didn't know. Naaman's king didn't know, and the other king of Samaria didn't know. But who knew? It was that little girl. It was that girl. She had 0 qualifications, and yet she had something to share. She had no name. She was unimportant. She was insignificant. And yet she was the one that God used to answer the need. Point number 4. You have a story to share. So share what you know. Doesn't matter if you're feeling unimportant or insignificant. It is your story and your experience that is needed. So share what you know. Have a great day.